Hey there, it's John Bray 555. In today's video, I want you to talk about the problematic elements in a very beloved franchise, that being the Harry Potter franchise. There's a lot of problematic elements, and we can talk about everything going on with the author, but that's one topic. A topic that I do not feel that I can address. But this is one topic I feel like me as an American, I can address. So for some background, America and Britain have had very different relationships with slavery. America fought a civil war to end slavery. We've had civil rights movement to advance to really get African Americans the rights that they deserve, and so many other movements, Black Lives Matter, all pushing for that. So I think me as an American who has learned about the American Civil War and the antebellum South and the institution of slavery, all that in my history classes, I feel like I probably know a little bit more about that stuff than J.K. Rowling. I just got a feeling I know a little bit more. And her handling of slavery, the concept of slavery in the Harry Potter books, is atrocious. That's probably the best way of putting it. It is atrocious. And let's begin with probably the most glaring. The house elves like being slaves, except for Dobby. He's the exception. And I'm sorry, but I feel like a slave liking being slave is the actual exception. Now, if you can find me a single piece of evidence from a former slave saying that they liked being slaves and that there was no question that that's their actual opinion, then I will concede that there are exceptions. But overall, I have seen no evidence showing slaves enjoying being slaves that preferred enslavement over freedom. I've just seen no evidence to support that concept. I've seen evidence to support the idea of slaves pretending to enjoy it so they get better treatment by the slave master. I've seen also evidence supporting the idea that there are slaves who, feigned affection for the master for, better treatment. I've seen that stuff, but I've never seen any evidence showing that the slaves enjoyed being slaves. I've seen none of that, but yet the house elves like it? Okay, it's a magical world and all that, but me as an American reading that, to me that just is problematic because that's not really reflective of history. Now, granted, if you probably grew up in the South and you were taught the Lost Cause narrative of the Civil War, which is blatantly false by the way, then I could kind of see somebody thinking that, but no, that's not a good case. If you want a very good breakdown of the Civil War, and you want something to watch rather than read, I recommend Anton Shea Films, Checkmate Lincoln Knight series. It's a very good series. It can get some of the sketches in there can get quite crazy, but the history, in my opinion, is pretty solid. So the idea of the elves liking being slaves, I just don't see that as being realistic. I can see the idea of them thinking that's all they can have. That's okay. That can create some good, compelling storytelling, but just the idea of them liking it and being resistant to learning about more, and the idea is treated like, oh, Dobby's the odd one out. He doesn't represent any others. That just rubs me the wrong way that he's the only one who sees a problem in his condition of basically permanent servitude. Yeah, I don't like that. That just screams problematic to me on so many fronts as an American. And let's now get into the other problematic elements. The handling of basically, for lack of a better term, abolitionism. So, in one of the books, I think, I forget which book it was, doesn't really matter, but Hermione creates the SPEAR, the Society for the Promotion of Elvish Welfare. Okay, no, the idea of her wanting to advocate for the rights, so they will no longer be slaves, that's actually a good concept. But it fails on two fronts. One, her best friends mock her for it. Yes, our hero, Harry Potter, mocks her for everything she's doing with SPEAR. Granted, how she's doing it, I also do have some qualms with, but it's not for the reasons Harry and Ron have. No, it's more of like, oh, they like being slaves. It's therefore what you're doing is just silly, stupid, that kind of stuff. Like, that just screams, our hero does that. Our hero does that. And, well, not our hero, because I'm not a super big Potter fan. I've read the books, watched the movies, but still, like, come on. The hero of the book mocks the character who's advocating for basically abolitionism. That's pretty bad. I mean, that is pretty bad. And here in America, like, one of the most racist films can be called as, making fun of abolitionists. Oh yeah, don't watch Birth of the Nation unless you interpret it as a black comedy and laugh at it, because that's the only way you'll get through that disgusting film. And I'm talking about the black and white Griffin one, whatever, way back in the day. But yeah, the fact that the hero is mocking the one character who's even looking after, or the fact that the hero, the title character of the book, is not on the side of abolition is kind of bad, especially when he's literally fighting the basically the fantasy equivalent of Hitler. That's not good. That's not good that he's not on the side of abolition. Yeah, that's kind of very problematic. Very problematic. J.K. Rowling could have done better and probably should do better, but she won't because she's so set in her ways and she thinks she can do nothing wrong, and she's been praised as this, so she thinks she's perfect. Yeah, we could go in all that her mentality and how I interpret how basically she's doubling down on everything rather than trying to grow as a person. But there's also how Hermione herself is handling it. She's not talking with the elves. The only one she's really talked to is Dobby, who, in the narrative of the story, in the world, is treated as being different than everyone, all the other elves, and therefore not representative of the population as a whole. That is somewhat okay, having a character like that. Just the reason why he's like that is just to justify him being free, but not the other house elves. Yeah, no. But she doesn't go talk to any of the other house elves at Hogwarts or anywhere else in the Wizarding World. No, she just assumes they all want to be free and instantly finds ways of trying to do that without consulting them. She does not ask what they want. She just assumes she knows better for them. Granted, I am kind of in my position here as an American saying like the house elves shouldn't be slaves, but that's also me saying acknowledging the nature of the world being in. So even acknowledging the nature of the world, what Hermione is doing is wrong in the nature because she's not talking to them. But even in the real world, it's kind of bad. It's like, I mean, let's just use an example from American history. The American Colonization Society was founded mainly by white men to basically resettle freed slaves, former slaves in Africa. That led to the country that's now called Liberia. But the thing is, they found that because they thought, well, they knew better and that blacks would never be accepted in American society. It has been a struggle, but they are more accepted than they used to be. In many places, they're more accepted sometimes. So they were kind of wrong in their assumption, but that's because they thought they knew better. You did see that a lot with the abolition movement. They thought they knew better and they could advocate for the African Americans, the slaves, better than they could. Like they saw that. That's kind of the white supremacist talking in them. But believe it or not, one of the first Americans to actually talk with freed slaves and ask what they wanted was, believe it or not, General Sherman. And Sherman was no abolitionist. He was not Grant. He was not Lincoln. He was not there at all. Even some Confederates were more abolitionist than Sherman was, and that's saying something. But Sherman also did see the military necessity of abolition and did support it. So after he took Savannah, he actually asked the states that his army has freed, that had been fallen, the ones he freed in Savannah, basically called the Flag Atomic Council and said, "Hey, you guys are free now. What should we do?" And the solution they came up with as a group, talking with the slaves, the former slaves, was 40 acres and a meal. Eventually, that Andrew Johnson did get rid of that policy, but that was Johnson. He was not the best president by a long shot. But the thing is, Sherman took the time to ask them their opinion. Like, sure, maybe some abolitionists did have the right, actually did know what they want, but not all the time. They never sought to ask. And Hermione never went down to the kitchens of Hogwarts and asked the house elves, "No, do they want to be free? And for you, how do you want your freedom to be advocated for?" She never asked that. She just started hiding things, hiding clothes, so that way they would be forcibly freed against the will without consulting them. Like, she never considered their opinions. Yes, in the nature of the world, them liking being slaves and all that is kind of icky and wrong, but regardless of where it is, she never consulted them. She thought she knew better than that. She thought she knew better for the house elves than the house elves themselves, than the elves themselves. But she never asked them. She never asked them. It doesn't matter the fictional circumstances of their enslavement and what their fictional things. She never asked those who were enslaved what they wanted. She never did. And we're seeing that a lot in J.K. Rowling. She just assumes things without actually talking to the groups that she's opposed to or that she's thinking she's helping. Like, she's just in her own bubble. It's the same thing. She has not grown as a person, and you can tell in her writing she has not grown. If anything, she's gotten worse as a person from when she wrote the books, and that does not always happen. But that's kind of what I wanted to say, just how problematic the handling of the topic of slavery is in the Harry Potter books. Even when the author did try to say something, actually say something, that slavery is bad, she did it in such a, insensitive way, an exclusionary way, a racist way. It's not a good look. Like those other authors who have had problematic depictions in past books, but guess what? Many times they address those either in interviews or in new books, like they actually grow as people. I have seen no evidence that J.K. has grown from the problems of her original books. I've seen no evidence that, in fact, I've seen evidence to the contrary. I've seen evidence where she's not grown as a person, rather she's regressed as a person. And yeah, that does not always happen. But you know what? I think I'm going to end my video there. I think that's a good point. Just a look at one of the many problematic issues in the Harry Potter books shows that how J.K. has not really grown as a person, and if anything, has regressed. So yeah, so let's just drop that to the floor and call the video done. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to let me know in the comment section down below what did you think of this video. I would love to hear your opinions, including the hateful ones, because there's going to be hate comments in here. I just know it. But in the meantime, thank you for watching, and as always, have a good day, a good night, wherever you are. Have a good one. Bye.